So why did I keep the Apple Watch Ultra? When it was first announced, I thought to myself, it's too big, it doesn't look sleek, it will look funny on my small wrist, and the more obvious one, I'm not the target audience for this watch. But despite all of my initial concerns, I ended up loving the Apple Watch Ultra, and let me tell you why. Chances are you are watching this video to figure out if the Apple Watch Ultra is right for you, or you already own the Apple Watch Ultra and you're just trying to convince yourself that you made the right decision. Honestly, that's what I did too. I watched a ton of videos, but at the end of the day, what sold me was having it on my wrist for 2 weeks. So let's go over the reasons why I chose the Apple Watch Ultra over the Series 8 stainless steel version. This one is pretty subjective, but I think the Apple Watch Ultra is a better looking watch. I did not think that was the case initially, but the Apple Watch Ultra grew on me. The more I used it, the more I loved it. It has a flat display that makes the screen easier to read, and the titanium frame mimics a look of a traditional watch. It's like the regular Apple Watch and an analog watch had a baby, and I'm here for it. I think it looks really good, it makes it easier to wear. Although it is a bigger watch, I find that it doesn't scream gadget because of the reasons I just stated. Seeing it on video, it seemed like the watch was going to be heavy and cumbersome to wear, but it's surprisingly light. It doesn't feel bulky at all. I've worn heavy watches in the past where you can kind of feel the weight shift as you move your hands, and that's not the case with the Apple Watch at all. It's super impressively light. On my 6.25-inch wrist, it doesn't look bad as I previously thought. Of course, coming from the 41mm Series 7, it looked absurd at first. It's actually pretty similar to the analog watches that I would wear in the past. And next to the 44 or 45mm Apple Watch, it's really not much bigger. But don't get me wrong, it's definitely a big watch. Looking at photos and videos don't really give it justice because you don't get the third dimension. I think what really makes the Apple Watch Ultra feel big is how tall it sits from your wrist. Most traditional watches kind of tapers off, which gives you a nice transition, but the Apple Watch Ultra doesn't have that. It's more squared off, so to speak. With that said, pairing it with the right band makes a big difference. I find that bands with little to no lug protrusion tends to help make it seem smaller. Watch bands like the Trail Loop band, a couple of No Man bands are in my current rotation. In addition to that, I got this $20 band from Best Buy for my Europe trip, and I thought it paired really well despite it being cheap and not made out of titanium. After trying this combo, my concerns of dressing up the Apple Watch was dismissed. I can definitely make it work, and it's not like I'm attending formal events on a regular basis. Admittedly, the Apple Watch Ultra is not as sleek as the previous Apple Watches, but that's not a bad thing. It just makes it different. I think the main issue that I initially had, and what most people probably have, is that we weren't given an option when it comes to size. It's unfortunate that you can like everything about the Apple Watch Ultra, but if the size isn't for you, then you're simply out of luck. At the end of the day, you want to wear something that fits and make you feel good, and you don't want to force something that doesn't work for you. At 49mm, the Apple Watch Ultra is probably at the max of what I can tolerate. If it was a little bit bigger, then it would have been a no for me. I do wish that the Apple Watch Ultra came with a smaller 45mm version. I get that they had to fit in a lot of stuff in a relatively small case, but I would personally be okay losing out on some of the Ultra features just to get it in a smaller case. Just like how the old iPhone Pros didn't have the same specs as the iPhone Pro Maxes. All I'm saying is if Apple creates a smaller version with a similar design language, I'm definitely jumping ship. I was deciding between the graphite stainless steel Series 8, 41mm, and the Apple Watch Ultra, so that's $750 versus $800. So for me, it was only a $50 difference, and you're getting a watch with a new design, better battery life, a ton of new features that although I will probably not use as much, it's still nice to have. At the end of the day, it was hard for me to justify spending $750 for a watch that's very similar to the watches that I've had in the past, the Series 1, Series 4, and the Series 7. And not to mention, I was ready for something new. If I didn't actually like the look of the Apple Watch Ultra on my wrist, then it would be a different story, but I do like its design and find the size tolerable, so the extra $50 was a no-brainer. The Apple Watch Ultra is claimed to last 36 hours on a single charge, which is great, although I never really had an issue with my Series 7. When it comes to traveling though, it's a completely different story. The battery life improvement gave me peace of mind, and I never had a day where I'm wearing a completely drained watch. You know how sometimes you forget that the battery is drained and you're still wearing it and you do this and you can't see the time? That never happened to me. I can get 2 to 2.5 days before I need to charge my Apple Watch, but typically I would charge it around 2 days anyway because I don't like living my life on the edge. This one I think is just practical. I just found assurance in the fact that if I were to change my mind a month or two later, I can probably get a good chunk of my money back by selling the Apple Watch Ultra. However, if I went with the Series 8 stainless steel version, I don't think that would be the case. Just by looking at Facebook Marketplace, there's a ton of stainless steel Apple Watches available. And so I would have to compete with all of them if I were to change my mind, which I don't see happening. There are also a couple of little things that once you add up, makes the Apple Watch Ultra even more compelling. The night mode, for example, is a super basic quality of life improvement, but it's super functional. I don't need to switch to theater mode when I'm watching movies. It's also nice for when I'm wearing my watch to sleep, so I don't get blinded in the middle of the night. Yes, I do sleep with the Apple Watch. It's not the smallest sleep tracker ever, but it's very doable, especially when paired with the trail loop band. Flashlight is another thing. It's super bright and handy. There were a couple of times in Florence and Venice when we were walking back to our Airbnb and the streets were pretty dark, and it was nice that I could just use my watch instead of my phone, which allowed me to have my hands free. Another awesome thing about the Apple Watch Ultra is it's very durable. I accidentally hit it on a metal railing while walking in the Vatican, and I didn't want to look at first. I was worried that it was damaged, but the Apple Watch Ultra didn't have any scratch or damage to it, which is super cool. And I feel like if I had any of the other Apple Watches, it would have been damaged for sure. The Apple Watch Ultra is super amazing, but I know I'm never going to use it to its full potential, and that's okay. There's the action button that I probably used once or twice just to test out the stopwatch feature. I know there's a lot more you can do with it. I just haven't gotten around to testing it out and exploring that feature. And it also goes without saying, I haven't used the waypoint, the dive features, the siren. One thing I really want to try though is the cellular feature. I know it's not exclusive to the Apple Watch, but I was just never really interested in it until now. I think the improved battery life and screen size makes a more compelling case to leave the phone at home from time to time. I think this could be an effective way for me to disconnect when I want to. If you made it this far into the video, please type titanium in the comments below, and also let me know what you guys think of the Apple Watch Ultra, especially now that the hype kind of died down a little bit. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to make it to 30K before the end of the year. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.